Hey everyone, welcome back to the deep dive. We're really excited for this one.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one.
You know how we love to cut through all the noise and get right to the stuff that truly matters? And today we're tackling a topic that can have a huge impact on any organization. Like seriously, any organization. We're going deep on the power of making those key performance indicators, those KPIs, visible.
Yeah, visible across the entire organization, not just hiding in a spreadsheet somewhere. We're talking about getting them out in the open where everyone can see them.
Exactly. And the material you sent over is perfect for this. It's packed with real-world examples and insights. So our mission today is to understand why this simple act, this making KPIs visible, can be a game changer.
It really can.
Whether you're a leader trying to boost your team's performance, or maybe you're just fascinated by what makes companies tick, this deep dive, it's for you. And we promise those light bulb moments, those aha moments, without drowning you in a sea of data. This is Season 1, Episode 2 of the Deep Dive, a Karas Innovations Group production.
Yeah.
And a huge thank you to our executive producer and founder, Lanier Johnson. All right, let's jump right in. So the fundamental idea here is that when the metrics that really tell the story of how things are going are out in the open, it changes things. It's like shining a spotlight on them.
Exactly. They can't be locked away in some report that only a few people see. They need to be part of the daily conversation, part of the environment.
Right. Like imagine a basketball game with no scoreboard.
Oh, that would be strange.
It'd be chaos, right? No one would know the score, who's winning, or what to focus on.
Exactly. And that's what it's like in a company when those KPIs are hidden.
People are kind of working in the dark. So this act of making them visible, it turns those abstract numbers into real, tangible goals that everyone can rally around.
And that's when you see this shift happen, this shift in mindset. It's not just management's concern anymore. It becomes a shared responsibility. Everyone's in the game now.
And ownership, that's the key word here, right? The sources you gave me, they really emphasize that. When people can clearly see how their work directly influences those key indicators, it changes how they feel about their jobs. It's not just tasks anymore. It's contributing to a bigger picture.
It's like, oh, if I do this better, that number goes up. I see the connection now.
Yeah, exactly. And that connection fuels motivation. It sharpens focus because now the definition of success, it's right there for everyone to see.
Yeah.
No more guessing what matters most.
And it's a critical step in building a data-driven culture. When the information is open and transparent, decisions are made based on evidence, not on gut feeling or assumptions. And that leads to much better outcomes for everyone.
So to see how this works in practice, let's talk about Apex Manufacturing. This case study, it was so fascinating. They're in the business of producing industrial components, right? And they'd hit this wall, this productivity plateau. Their numbers were just stuck.
And their frontline teams, the people actually doing the work, they weren't feeling connected to the company's goals. Like there was a disconnect there.
Right. And the interesting thing is, it wasn't that Apex wasn't tracking data.
Yeah.
They had metrics for production rates, for equipment downtime, for quality control issues. It's just, it was all buried in reports, trapped in spreadsheets, maybe discussed in some management meeting.
Yeah, behind closed doors, kind of.
Exactly. But the people who could actually move the needle on those metrics, they weren't seeing them. So Apex decided to change that.
And they did it in a really smart way. They implemented this two-pronged approach, right? First, they installed these digital dashboards in really prominent locations throughout the production areas. So, right on the factory floor where everyone could see them. And they put them in break rooms, too.
So you couldn't miss them. Even grabbing a cup of coffee, those numbers were right there.
Exactly. And these dashboards weren't just static displays. They were showing real-time updates on all those key performance indicators. Production rates, downtime, quality metrics, the whole picture right there, constantly updating.
So anyone could instantly see how things were tracking at any given moment.
Mm.
But they didn't stop there, did they? They added another layer, a more tactile one using... Was it whiteboards?
Yeah, whiteboards.
Right.
Simple but effective. And these whiteboards were specifically for the team leaders, giving them a more granular view of their team's performance.
It's like a daily snapshot, right?
Right. And they made these whiteboards central to their daily shift meetings. So every morning, the team would gather around, go over the latest numbers, and discuss any issues or opportunities that popped up. It was like a huddle before the game,
Totally. So you have this great combination, the digital dashboards for the big picture, the overall health of the operation, and then the whiteboards for a more focused team-level view.
Yeah.
That's clever.
It really was. And the results, they speak for themselves. Just 3 months after making those KPIs visible, Apex saw a 15% reduction in equipment downtime. That's huge.
That's a lot of time that was being wasted before, and now it's back in their pocket.
And think about it, those real-time dashboards, they likely allowed workers to identify small issues before they turned into big problems. Like, if a machine started acting up, they could see it on the dashboard right away and address it before it caused a major stoppage. That's proactive problem solving.
And those improvements kept coming, right? They saw a 10% increase in overall throughput. They were producing more using the same resources, and their quality defects per shift, they dropped by 8%. That's impressive.
It really is. It's like they unlocked this hidden potential just by making those numbers visible.
Totally. But it wasn't just about the hard numbers. The sources also highlighted how this impacted their culture. Employees started feeling more connected to the company's goals. They felt empowered, like they had a real impact. They could actually see it happening.
I bet that was motivating. When you can see your contribution, it gives you this sense of ownership, right? Like, I'm a part of this. I'm making a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a total shift. They went from a culture where information was siloed and decisions were made in the dark to a culture of transparency, continuous improvement, and data-driven decision-making.
It's like they turn on the lights and everyone could finally see where they were going.
Exactly. And the best part, this isn't just some isolated success story. The material you shared made it clear that this principle, this idea that visible metrics drive performance, it applies across all kinds of industries.
That's right. Manufacturing, warehousing, sure, but also engineering, marketing, services, even the supply chain. It's kind of universal.
Like, once you understand the core concept, you start to see the potential everywhere.
Exactly. And there's data to back it up. That Gartner study we talked about, it found that organizations that integrated real-time performance data into their operations were 20% more likely to meet or exceed their productivity goals. That's significant.
It really is. And if you think about traditionally, operations-focused industries like manufacturing and warehousing, those digital dashboards, performance boards, even those and-on systems, it all makes perfect sense.
Right. Those and-on systems, those are those visual signals on the factory floor that alert everyone to problems in real time, right? It's immediate feedback, which means quicker responses and fewer disruptions.
Exactly. And it bridges that gap between management and frontline workers. They're all looking at the same data, same information, which means they can collaborate better and solve problems faster.
It's like they're all on the same team working towards the same goal. And speaking of teams, even in fields like engineering and supply chain, this idea of visible metrics has a huge impact. That McKinsey report, the one that found that companies providing open access to project and operational KPIs, saw improved collaboration and faster project cycles.
Up to 12% faster project cycles.
That's amazing. Think about it. Engineers can track design iteration rates, supply chain teams can monitor lead times and defects, and everyone's informed, everyone's engaged. It just makes everything run smoother.
And let's not forget about marketing and service industries. That HubSpot research showed that marketing teams who regularly review and display their key metrics, things like conversion rates and ROI, they saw a 17% improvement in campaign effectiveness. That's massive.
That's like going from hitting singles to hitting home runs.
Right. And then there's the impact on customer retention in service industries. By openly tracking and sharing KPIs like customer satisfaction scores and resolution times, they can see those numbers improve, sometimes by as much as 10%.
It all comes back to this idea of ownership and shared focus. When you can see how your actions impact those key metrics, it just naturally leads to better results.
And the consensus across all the sources is clear. This isn't a fad, it's the future. Real-time visibility, it's no longer a nice to have, it's a competitive necessity. Companies that embrace this, they have a distinct advantage.
And a big reason for this shift, for why this is becoming so essential, is the rapid advancements we're seeing in technology. Industry 4.0, with all its automation and data exchange capabilities and the power of cloud-based analytics, it's making it easier than ever to capture, analyze, and share data across entire organizations.
So the tools are there, but ultimately it's leadership that makes this happen. It's the leaders who champion this idea of metric transparency. They're the ones seeing the real benefits, those measurable improvements in productivity and efficiency.
They're the ones who are creating those cultures of accountability where everyone understands their role and their impact. Cultures of empowerment where people have the information they need to make a difference. And cultures of data-driven decision-making where decisions are based on evidence, not on guesswork.
And that leads to better outcomes for everyone. So the key takeaway from this deep dive, the big aha moment, it's this. Making your KPIs visible, it has a ripple effect. As we saw with Apex Manufacturing, and as supported by all that industry research, it drives improvements in performance, it boosts employee engagement, and it helps to create a more data-driven, more successful organization.
And we hope this deep dive has given you a clear understanding of this principle and how it can be applied in the real world without getting bogged down in unnecessary complexity.
Now, here's a final thought to chew on. Think about the different areas of your life, your personal goals, your work, even your community. Where could increased transparency of key indicators lead to positive change? What could happen if we all had a clearer view of the metrics that truly matter? It's something to think about.
Definitely.
That was Season 1, Episode 2 of The Deep Dive, a Karas Innovations Group production.
And a huge thank you to Lanier Johnson, our executive producer and founder.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back soon to explore more fascinating topics. Until then, stay curious.
See you next time.